Hello, and welcome back to the Dark Corner. My name is Cheese Film, and today's movie is Planet of the Apes. Planet of the Apes is a 1968 American science fiction film directed by Franklin J. Schaffner, from screenplay by Michael Wilson and Rod Serling. Loosely based on the 1963 novel by Pierre Boulle, the film stars Charlton Heston, Roddy McDowall, Kim Hunter, Maurice Evans, James Whitmore, James Daly, and Linda Harrison. In the film, the astronaut crew crash lands on a strange planet in a distant future. Although the planet appears desolate at first, the surviving crew members stumble upon a society in which apes have evolved into creatures with human-like intelligence and speech. The apes have assumed the role of the dominant species, and humans are mute creatures wearing animal skins. All right.
Oh.
So, welcome back to the Dark Corner podcast. I'm joined with two fellow movie lovers, Mr. Michael Cagle and Mr. John Paul Cagle.
No, call me Hecubus. I thought before I having to watch Kids in the Hall. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be Hecubus because you're Cheese Film.
All right, well, do you want to redo it then? Call you Hecubus.
No, that's fine because this is entertaining enough.
All right, Hecubus and John Paul. We're talking about Planet of the Apes, the original Planet of the Apes, which is a really classic style sci-fi. It's kind of a sci-fi horror movie.
It's absolutely sci-fi.
Oh, with 100%, yeah.
That's why I always tell your mother, oh, you like sci-fi because you like Planet of the Apes. But, yeah, it is iconic.
It's very iconic. And with a new one coming out this year in 2024.
Did it come out already?
I think it comes out next weekend.
Okay.
The weekend following.
Because there's reviews out now. I haven't seen any, but yeah, with all that coming out, it's unbelievable.
Standing the test of time, especially based on a novel that...
From a French guy.
Yeah, who it became one of the first franchises. Planet of the Apes
definitely.
It blew up immensely.
Way more so than James Bond as a franchise, because they're more connected.
Yeah.
Whereas James Bond is just the same guy doing different stuff. Obviously, when the planet blows up, and I think it's beneath the Planet of the Apes, and then the next one, Cornelius and Zira are astronauts. God, that's like that.
Iconic.
The Statue of Liberty scene there is iconic, and I think when they take off those space helmets and it's apes in the water, it's amazing. I love it. That's so iconic too.
And really, I think about this a lot. Like when they're writing these scripts, when they're shooting these scenes, are they thinking, yeah, this is going to be permanently in the zeitgeist for all of time now? Like when you think of Planet of the Apes, for me, the gorilla on the horse turning around and you see that first reveal when they're running through, it's like, oh my God. And it's there, like that is ingrained into my head when I think of Planet of the Apes, and I know a lot of people would agree with that too.
Yep.
Because it's one of the greatest reveals in a movie. And it really goes to show these movies from the 60s, 50s, 40s, even the 70s and 80s, they really, really kind of get it right, you know? They don't fade away. Even the Tim Burton remake, like there's a lot in that one.
I love the Tim Burton remake.
I like it too.
Crapped on, but I think it's really cool. And it is a Planet of the Apes, obviously.
Right.
But the makeup was phenomenal. And it just wasn't... It's its own Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, it's not.
And that's fine.
It's not trying to replace or anything like that. It's just being its own retelling.
It's not a part of it or anything.
No.
And I like the big reveal at the end where Thade is the like
yeah, it was like a
Abraham Lincoln of
yeah.
The time, and that is stupid. But it's cool.
It is, and you know what?
It's not the Statue of Liberty, but it's still cool.
It's a lot. A movie doesn't have to be flawless and perfect to have a lot of cool things in it.
Yeah.
And I think the Tim Burton one is one of the champions of that, because I haven't seen better monkey makeup on people.
No way.
At all. And they're doing mocap
that's
now.
Makeup, yeah.
This is they didn't do that. These are actors in costume, in makeup, and they look better than the original ones do.
Yeah, they look real.
And they look real. They look like they're some sort of monkey-human hybrid.
Yeah.
Like, I can 100% see an alien species looking like that, and I think that's really, really cool and shows how well the movie industry can go to bring creative ideas to the forefront.
Yeah, if that's their goal.
Because
also, one of the things about Planet of the Apes, and this is nuts too, huge success Planet of the Apes 1 was, they cut the budget for the second one.
Yeah.
Huge success. They made more money, obviously, because the
budget was low.
Yeah. So they just did that again, and the makeup gets worse as they go on instead of better as they go on.
Yeah, I'm rewatching them all now, and I've noticed that in the first one, they're obviously masked, but they look really good. But in the second one, especially with like Cornelius, you can tell that like it's not fitting his
moving,
face. Yeah. And it's
and that one gorilla too, and the Hoyt Axton one later on, you can really see it moving like a mask. And it's still good because they have a good performance underneath it, but why'd you do that?
Why did you do that? Especially if it's such a big hit.
Yeah.
Well, the reason probably was that Charlton Heston wanted more money, and
that's great too in the second one.
They just kind of replaced him.
Yeah, you look like Charlton Heston. Yeah, and he's in it too.
He's in it a lot. Well, Charlton, he shows up a little bit in the beginning-ish, and then a lot in the end.
Right.
Of two. But it's cool, going back to Tim Burton's thing, is that he obviously loved these movies because that gorilla in the second one is the inspiration for how the gorillas look in his movie, and they were not in the original Planet of the Apes movie. And you don't get that a lot. Like he obviously loved these movies enough to bring stuff in from all of them,
right? Not
just try to remake the original one, because there isn't really a way to remake that.
No.
It's so popular. It's such a big. You can't remake that.
Right.
There's no touching it.
What they're doing now, it's kind of a remake, but it's totally different.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do.
You have to do it that way.
It's a good idea, a whole Planet of the Apes thing.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you two things. But you can't. Remaking the first one was a bad idea because the technology is different. We know different things. One, it's a good idea. These things are so cool, this Planet of the Apes stuff, because scientists have said that chimpanzees and apes are the equivalent of Stone Age human beings.
Yeah.
And they just recently, I think it's in a zoo, but it might be on a safari. This orangutan was using medicine to heal a wound on itself.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so it's coming.
And it's both cool and crazy that we get to watch evolution happen societally. So we get to watch these apes evolve into more civilized creatures. They're hunting with spears. They say that like if orangutan kills you, he'd rip you apart to study what you look like underneath.
Man.
Chimpanzee will do it just because you looked at him wrong. And a gorilla will do it only into self-defense. Not because, they were just monkeys and we want to kill you. They're pretty far advanced species of apes.
Yeah.
And they're close descendants of humanity. It's you can watch the parallels. But back to the movie. This movie utilizes a lot of what would then become like whip pans and zooms.
Yep.
You see that a lot. They have a lot, like referencing the gorilla on the on the horse again, like it whips and zooms in fast.
Yeah.
You see that a lot of westerns, in like western movies, you'll see a lot of that, but this one brought it into the mainstream of like pop culture and science fiction, stuff like that. They use it a lot here, and I think this is one of those big turning stones in filmmaking where you would see a lot of diverse camera movement in the because a lot of this is shot outside. This wasn't shot on sets. They went out into like the Midwest to get a lot of the deserty shots because it all looks alien out there anyway. There's a
not to the people that live there.
But you can dress it up and make it look like a whole different world.
Yeah.
And it's impressive that a movie from this era was able to do something like this and make Earth look like a whole different planet.
Yep.
Ironically, which turned out to just be Earth again.
And like having the main character not speak for a huge chunk of the movie.
Yeah.
That's good too.
It's completely mute him.
It's new. And it obviously, you mentioned earlier, did they think it was going to be like this? No.
Did they think
because it took everybody by surprise how well it did, and then how well they made it too. I think it took them all by surprise. I'm sure they tried to do their best.
Of course,
they weren't phoning it in, but they didn't. I didn't think like Nirvana didn't know they were going to be Nirvana.
Right.
They were just making a record,
just hoping for it.
The best they could do.
And you've got like Charlton Heston was, if not the biggest, one of the biggest Hollywood stars back in the day too. Like he did Ben-Hur and the Ten Commandments. So to have, he's really the biggest name a part of this.
Yeah, because everybody else became a star after.
After this, yeah, he was your golden boy. I hope we get people in seats because he's in it.
Yeah,
and it just turned out to be way more than that even was.
I think Charlton Heston. It lends a lot of credit to, because afterwards he's in like Soylent Green with another sci-fi movie, and The Omega Man, another sci-fi movie that if there was a lesser actor, it wouldn't have been as, I wouldn't probably be mentioning it. Well, I would, but other people wouldn't know what I was talking about.
Right. So with this one, I usually go through the plot. I don't think I want to go through the plot so much on this one, just in case people haven't seen a whole lot of it. Or you have seen a whole lot of it, because this is one of the more popular movies. The other couple movies I've been talking about have been
pretty obscure.
Unless
you're old and older than me.
Grew up with a lot of those.
Or you have that niche kind of taste.
So instead, I think we should talk more about how this affected the pop culture zeitgeist in a whole. I think that's a very interesting thing because, like we mentioned earlier, like this became a franchise. And at the time, the franchises weren't really a thing yet.
Right.
Star Wars hasn't come out yet. We haven't had a lot of big name movies that would go on to create sequels and toys and
right. It was all games. A fluke, like 2001 and this. They're not gonna. Well, they did have Planet of the Apes toys and stuff.
A lot of
because it became a TV show and a cartoon.
Yeah.
And there used to be toys like that. I didn't have any of them, but they're pretty cool.
We were at an antique show and they had a toy of Zeus there.
Oh. Yeah, I met Zeus once.
Oh, yeah?
You might have it here. You did used to have it. An autographed picture of her that it was at the mall or something, and we went to go see. It was probably for the TV show or the last movie or something, but yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
It was awesome.
That's really cool. I don't think I've ever met any one of them. But they also... they did a lot of marketing with this too. Like they did the Uncle Sam pointing poster.
Yeah, that's all that stuff. When they replace it with apes is cool.
Yeah.
And plus, in 1976 was the bicentennial. Mm-hmm. So having ape stuff along with that, it's just cool.
And it just sparked so much. It's revolutionary, and you see it referenced everywhere.
Yeah,
you see it everywhere. Anytime you see like a destroyed Statue of Liberty,
like Spaceballs,
what's the line? Get your filthy paws off me. I've seen that pop up all over the place.
Yeah.
Anytime you see like a planet full of a different species of animal, that's all called back to this. It's a true cornerstone of classic sci-fi in general of filmmaking.
Yeah. And what a clever idea. I can't believe nobody ever thought of it before that Pierre did in the book. But that's a great idea.
It really is. It really is. Filming on this began May 21st of 1967 and wrapped on August 10th of the same year. So this was shot in a couple of months.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive because it was all shot out in the Grand Canyon, Colorado River, Lake Powell, Glen Canyon, and other locations near Page, Arizona. So they were really, you were filming in 100-degree weather in that heavy makeup.
Yeah, that's got to be fun.
And those masks. And it's another thing. Like you don't see that a lot. So like in these movies, like those actors are sweating. They're sweating under those, but they're not moving like they're about to pass out. Even though you kind of know they would be.
Yeah.
But they're really solid actors. They get the shot. That's what they were. A lot of them were trained to do was get the take.
Right.
When they call cut, then you take your breath. The remnants of the Statue of Liberty were shot in a secluded cove on the far eastern end of Westward Beach between Zuma Beach and Point Doom in Malibu. So that was actually filmed down in Florida.
No, in California.
Well, the Malibu, Florida.
No, it's Malibu, California.
I don't know where anything is. But that makes sense because that's probably one of the last things they shot, too.
Yeah, probably.
A lot of this, obviously they don't shoot movies in order, but that particularly was probably their last thing to shoot because they'd have to build that set. That might be, that and The Village probably are the only sets in this movie.
Yeah.
Because they don't, it's all jungle. It's all like that.
Jungle and desert.
And you can't really fake that, especially with the amount of wide. They don't try to fake it. They got a whole bunch of wide shots in this.
And that helicopter shot or plane shot, whatever, of the spaceship crashed in the water sticking up. I was going to say about with the zeitgeist and stuff. I was just watching the Mythbusters guy. He has a YouTube channel, and he's got like, I think he has that prop or a miniature of it, or he made it or something of that actual thing. He's got a whole ton of stuff, and he's got a lot of Planet of the Apes stuff.
Planet of the Apes. I have a buddy I work with who loves this movie too, and we talked about it. That the spaceship miniature they sold as like toys. You can get their spaceship and stuff like that. And he was big into miniatures. He was big into stuff like that. So he still has his original one. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. Critically, Planet of the Apes was met with critical acclaim. So second it comes out, it was regarded as a classic. It was rated one of the best films of 1968 and applauded for its imagination, commentary on a possible world turned upside down. Pauline Kael called it one of the most entertaining science fiction fantasies ever to come out of Hollywood. That's true. That still holds
we
up.
got Forbidden Planet before that, 2001, but that's kind of brainy.
Right.
And like what else? Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Really?
That's entertaining just because it's bad. But yeah, what else was there, really?
And
Invasion of the Body Snatchers was pretty good.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers was pretty good.
And The Thing from Another World, but none of them are like this. They're all... Or what's that one? The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Yeah.
Or Aliens Coming Here, not the other way around.
Yeah.
Which was a big deal, too, in 1968, because...
the space
the space race, and we're about to or had already walked on the moon.
I think the moon landing was 69.
I think it was too.
So it was right there. Like they were talking about it.
Yeah.
So it was a reality now. Because like in Forbidden Planet, I believe they go to that planet.
Yeah, they go to that planet.
And
they've already been there.
Right. And we've seen going to another planet before, every now and here. But being so close to we actually are doing this. Yeah. Science is actually getting to the point where we're venturing out of our own planet. This movie probably was like, oh my God, you got to watch this movie.
Yeah.
And it was. Everybody loved it. It was a huge hit, and it spawned 5 sequels.
I think there's 5 movies total.
Or 4, yeah. And then 2 different remakes, a TV show, a cartoon. Comic books.
Yeah.
It's so big, and it stands the test of time. Mr. Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times gave it 3 out of 4. He gave it 3 out of 4 stars and called it much better than I expected it to be. It's quickly paced and completely entertaining.
I bet that a lot of people were surprised at how much they liked it.
Yeah, well, yeah, and it's kind of a long movie. I think it's almost 2 hours long.
Yeah, it's pretty long.
But I didn't feel like that.
No, it holds your attention.
It does. It really does. And man, when they crash back on Earth, and they're venturing out and they're looking for stuff, and they see those scarecrows.
Yeah, that's great.
Oh my God, that's such a small detail.
Yeah, it is. That's a small detail. I'm gonna tell you another small detail. When the 3 of them start encountering the humans running out of that, it's like a big field.
Yeah,
and they're got the sticks. Man, that really sticks with me. I love that part.
It's a great build because, like, you see those, and they don't come back. You see those scarecrows, and that's it.
That's it.
And it's like, okay, so they're on some weird planet, and then they keep coming. Then humans are here, and like, oh, and their sticks are coming in, and they're whacking down that grass. And we did stuff like that. That's
how you hunt things.
We've seen that. It's familiar to us. So seeing that, we're like, okay, we're getting it. Something's hunting these people. They're actively being. They're not. It's not like, oh, it's just something coming through. They're hunting these people. Yeah. Which is another thing they do in this movie. They're hunting these people for like scientific research. They're not. They're not like animals in a zoo. Like they stuff them and put them in museums. Yeah. It's really dark.
It is dark. It is very dark, and everybody kind of blows it off. Oh, Planet of the Apes, but that is dark.
Yeah.
The humans are being hunted, then basically treated like animals. Mm-hmm. It's nuts.
I mean, both of his friends get the short end of the stick. One of them, the guy who gets shot in the neck, they end up stuffing him.
Yep.
And then his other buddy, they cut his brain open and start messing around with him.
Probably because he was talking.
Yeah, because I don't think because Charlton Heston got shot in the throat. He wasn't able to talk.
He couldn't talk. He was like the rest of them. And that is the real big drawback for War for the Planet of the Apes, the third one of the new trilogy kind of thing. It just doesn't make any sense that here's a disease and now you can't talk.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have done that. They should have just left it, and you can figure out yourself why humans don't talk. Well, or leave it open at least,
or just let them talk. Or we just started devolving. There wasn't really a need to talk for people anymore. You can have it like that.
Yeah, it could.
With a new one coming out, the girl does talk, so maybe it's not everybody. But yeah, that wasn't a good idea for that. That was kind of a cheap way out. Yeah. Quick and cheap. But overall, those movies are really good too.
Yeah,
they're instead of just remaking it, it's being remade.
Yeah.
So we are seeing how the planet became a Planet of the Apes.
Right.
And they use the window motif that Caesar. I think that's so cool.
That's very cool. And at least in the first 2, they reference astronauts who get lost in space.
Mm-hmm. So that
meaning people that from the original movie. I think that's really cool.
That's a cool detail. Again, little details. They do a lot of world building in the little detail. What do you think, John? You've been very quiet this episode.
Think the CGI one's better.
Yeah, I can see that.
Well, you're the younger generation. So actually, what you've seen, you've lived in the world with these newer ones. Have you even seen the older one?
Yeah.
Have you seen the Burton remake?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I don't think he has. You're lame. It's good. You should watch it.
Maybe.
It's good. You should watch it.
What do you think? Where have you seen the references to Planet of the Apes in your time, in your likes and interests?
What do you mean references?
So like in The Simpsons, when Homer Simpson's like, as long as we don't go to that damn Planet of the Apes.
Like that.
That one. It hasn't really been relevant in my watching.
Well, they reference it in Rick and Morty too, like when they go to the planet of, like, it's all dogs.
Yeah.
They've got that. They do stuff like that. It's really everywhere. But I think that's all I've got to say about the Planet of the Apes. Anything?
I can't wait to see that new one.
Yeah, the new one looks really good.
Looks really good.
And I think it's
an entirely different story. It just happens to be apes in charge.
Yeah, and it's Cornelius. I think the ape is named.
Oh, really?
I think. I don't know, but I think because I don't think Caesar's around anymore.
No, it's like 300 years from then.
Yeah. So I think this ape. I think that's what they're doing. So this one's going to be Cornelius, and you'll see Zira, and they're going to help this human.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
And it fits in with the first one, too, because they're
kind of
animal rights people.
Yeah. Let me go to...
Oh.
Yeah, the Tim Burton one they thought was going to be a tentpole movie when it came out, and that didn't happen. They did put all that marketing into promoting it and everything, and just didn't happen. And I think it still made a lot of money. It was profitable, but the bad word of mouth
was enough.
Kind of killed it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really understand why everybody hates it so much.
I don't either.
I mean, it's darker, like darkly lit.
It's pretty well, yeah.
And personally, I really like how they evolved it to where, like, the apes keep people as pets, and they're not just
servants.
Yeah,
like they did in the subsequent ones when the more modern times. It's the future of the '60s and early '70s. I think it's actually the past now. But the revolt, the Caesar of those Planet of the Apes movies, the dogs and cats went extinct for some bizarre reason. I think there was a disease or something. So people started keeping chimpanzees mostly as pets and training them to be slaves, basically.
Yeah.
And then they revolt, and that's the Caesar of that one. And I forgot where I was going with that, but that it's then the Tim Burton one kind of uses that. The whole, like you were saying earlier, the whole series got represented in that movie. That was a great idea.
And they do that line too. Instead of the filthy ape, it's a filthy human. I think that's really cool. And Mark Wahlberg isn't bad either.
I don't have a problem with Mark Wahlberg as an actor. I think he's pretty good.
Yeah.
And everything I see him in, he's good.
And I really like the beginning of that movie where you see him and the scientist on the space station working with the chimp, and like they've got a whole relationship, and where it would come back at the end.
And their symbol is the ship.
Yeah.
That mothership of the humans. Yeah. And we kind of expect it being humans, but the apes that are portraying it, when their mind is blown by this de-evolved, basically, chimpanzee that's flying this weird thing and being subservient to the human, Their whole world got turned upside down. It was cool. That's a great idea. That's a good movie.
It's a good movie.
Everybody needs to shut up about that.
You know, I kind of like how...
The music's good, too.
Yeah, it's all good. And I like how the final end goes inside the crashed ship.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's exciting. You've got a lot of... he, like, gets a gun and stuff like that. He's holding it all funky. And
like he doesn't really know what it is.
Yeah.
And Charlton Heston giving
playing
him that
the old
one.
Yeah. He's like, go in there. That's what's good. If they get this, then ape kind is done. Because, you know, and that's a recurring trope too in these older sci-fi movies, is that humanity is the peak destroyer.
Yeah.
Like you watch all this other stuff like Star Wars and Star Trek, and like, oh, we're the Klingon, we're the Borg, we're this, we're that, we're stormtroopers, but like human beings are so natural at devastating that it's really kind of cool to see a whole world where humanity is the thing you want to keep it away from. Yeah. We want to hide all this stuff from them because I know that's a bomb. And if they get their hands on this, they're just going to make more. We're not making more, but they will.
Yeah. It's in their nature.
It's in their... it's so good.
But I just realized, too, the Doomsday Bomb from, I think, is Beneath the Planet of the Apes. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the nuke.
You can only use it once, and it destroys it. It's very destructive. It ends up blowing up the planet. But they have a devastating weapon in Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes that they can only use once. And it's very devastating. Man, that's clever.
It's so
clever
good
stuff, man.
And like,
good.
If you don't like it, you don't like it. But you got to give credit when credit's due.
Yeah,
like,
especially to the
he did
makeup.
put in a lot of love.
Yeah.
And the makeup's great, and the computer effects aren't bad either, especially for
I don't remember any computer effects
of that time. Well,
which is good.
I know, yeah, which is good. But I know that when they put the ape chimp in the spaceship and they send him out, that's all digital.
It looks good too.
Yeah. I mean, this is post the prequels and Pirates of the Caribbean, you know, so like they had revolutionary filmmaking CGI at their disposal, and I think they used it well. And it's not the original, and if you stop trying to compare it to the original, then you can have a great time,
right? Because
the movie's great. Paul Giamatti as a weird, gross, perverted-looking orangutan.
Paul Giamatti and Tim Roth do not look anything like themselves.
No, they don't. Hello, Bonham Carter kind of does.
Yeah, and Roddy McDowell kind of does too in his makeup. But those guys, forget about it. They just look like an orangutan and a chimpanzee.
Alrighty, so the Planet of the Apes is currently streaming on Hulu. I personally own the Blu-ray box set of the 5 Planet of the Apes films. It's got the really nice silhouette of the ape on the cover, and it comes with all of them. If you can find it, I would give it a watch. If you can stream it on Hulu, I would definitely suggest it. Planet of the Apes for me is a must-see for everybody at least once.
It is.
I'd give it...
If you're a movie kind of person and you're just getting into this stuff, that's a good one to start to watch.
Oh, yeah. Very palatable. It's easy. It goes down smooth. It doesn't require a lot of, like, science knowledge. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room to get it. It's just fun. I'd give it a solid 4.5 out of 5 stars, personally.
I'd give it a 4.5 out of 5, sure.
Yeah. But... overall, it's a must-watch for us. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. This has been The Dark Corner, featuring 2 other movie lovers. What was your name? Hibiscus?
Hecubus.
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 Hecubus. All right. We'll catch you later.